the one, the only Benzion.
Good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Iyun Benzion. Tonight's daf is Benzion Gittin daf Iyun Dal number 74. The Gemara, the Mishnah here on Iyun Dal talks about Tnoim. It's a pretty simple case. I'm megarish you on condition that you give me $200. It's a lot of money. Maybe it was a lot of money. Harezim Gureshes Vetitin. The Mishnah says she's Gureshes Vetitin as long as she gives the money. Now, when does the gerushin take effect? So it's a machlokes Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda in the Gemara. Rav Huna says once she gives the money, the gerushin happened. Right? She gives the money a year later. The gerushin happened a year ago. That's when the gerushin happened. According to Rav Yehuda, the gerushin only takes effect a year later when she gives the money. Now there's a lot of nafkamim. Obviously, there's many nafkamim between this, right? According to Rav Yehuda, they were married the entire year. According to Rav Huna, they weren't married. The Gemara gives one of the examples of the nafkamina. If the get was torn up or is lost in a year, if it's not around, so you have to give another get. We paskin like Rav Huna. Rav Huna is the psak halacha. It takes effect retroactively because it's based on the premise. The Gemara says Rav Huna quotes the name of Rebbe. Kol omer almanas, omer ma'achshav dam. When you say the word almanas, which is what it says in the Mishnah, amagarishu almanas, on condition that you give me ma'asayim zuz. So therefore, it's like you said ma'achshav. Now, when I say ma'achshav, like we had in the previous Mishnah, it's amagarishu ma'achshav in mesi. You're magreshus now. If I die, so if he dies, obviously the gerushin ma'achshav happens now. That's obvious. The question is when you say almanas, on condition, does on condition mean when you do the condition, or does it mean retroactively? We paskin like Rebbe that almanas, the connotation of almanas is that it happens retroactively. Now this is very important because I've always been wondering this for a long time because I was taught when I went to Yeshiva University on Yonasan Sachs this year, he talked about when you have a Tanai, the whole concept of a Tanai is really based on a Mishnah Maseches Kedushin that says that we pass like a Rameir. A Rameir says that you need Mishpatei Tanoim. You have to make a Tanai very strong. You have to, just like Tanai B'nai Gad B'nai Reuven, you have to be kofel the Tanai. You have to say it twice. You have to say it once Hain and once the Lav, right? If I give you 200 zuzim Goreshes, if you give me 200 zuzim Goreshes, if you don't give me 200 zuzim, you're not Goreshes. You have to say the Tanai before the Maisa. There's a lot of different a list of Tanaim, but it doesn't sound like other places in Shas. It doesn't sound like you need all these Mishpatei Tanaim. We pass like Rameir, you do Mishpatei Tanaim. So this followed. He explained the concept. The Rush explains the concept of Tanai is called Tanai Milsa Achrisa. It's not close in the Rishon on how do you understand that Tanai, but Milsa Achrisa means that the Tanai is not as strong as the Maisa. The Maisa is there. The Tanai is something on the side, irrelevant, not as strong as the Maisa. So I believe the whole concept of Mishpatei Tanaim is only in the case where you say Harei Migreshes Im, like if you give me Ma'asayim Zuz. When you say Almanas or you say Ma'achshav, because Almanas is like saying Ma'achshav, you don't need all the Mishpatei Tanaim. Because what happens is when he's Megarish her, he gives her the get, and he says Almanas that you give me Ma'asayim Zuz. Not only did you do the Maisa Gerushin, but the Das, his Das for the Gerushin is locked in at that time. Whatever his thoughts were to Megarisha are locked in at that time when he gave her the Gerushin. Now, it's dependent on something small that has to happen of her giving him the Masayim Zuz. He has to give her the Masayim Zuz. If she doesn't give the Masayim Zuz, of course it's not a Gerushin. However, the entire Maisa, along with his Das, not just the action of Gerushin, but his Das of Gerushin was to Megarisha at that point, right then. He just wanted to make sure he gets Ma'asayim Zuz. When he gets the Ma'asayim Zuz, so then retroactively his Maisa and his Das affect the Gerushin retroactively. Now, when do we say Mishpatei Tanaim? When you say the word Im, right, I'm going to garish you if you give me 200 Zuz. So the Gerushin only takes effect later on, you give it 200 Zuz. And there, the Das, right, the Maisa happens now. But the Das happens later when you give the 200 zuz. So the Das is separated from the Maisa. And that's what it's called Tnai Milsa Achrisa. That's what a Milsa Achrisa, it's apart from it, because the Maisa and the Das are severed. The Das is what happens later, and the Maisa was originally. So there you need all the Mishpatei Tanaim to somehow connect the Das and the Maisa together. You can't connect the Das and the Maisa together if you don't have Mishpatei Tanaim. However, when you say Ma'achshav Dami, or you say Almanas, which is like Ma'achshav Dami, the Gemara Paskins. So therefore, the Tanai and the Maisa, the Tanai is merely just a side point. the Maisa and the Das happened originally. And you don't need Mishpatei Tanaim. You don't need Mishpatei Tanaim because everything was present. You only need Mishpatei Tanaim when the Das, it happens later on, right? Because when she gives the Masayim Zuz later on, if he said Im, if she, right, she gives it later on, a year later, so then he's masking with his Das when she gives it. But if he's Almanas, he's already masking now. Why is that important? It's important to understand the Gemara on Ayin Dal and Beis, where the Gemara has a question. The Gemara says, I'm Megarishu Almanas, you give me Masayim Zuz, 200 Zuz. And then he changes his mind. He says that I'm Mochel, the Masayim Zuz. You don't have to give it to me. So, according to Rishon Gamliel, and maybe according to Rabbanan, we would think maybe it should be good. Because he wanted 200 Zuz. He wanted 200 Zuz, and what happened? Instead of getting 200 Zuz, he said, that's okay, I don't need the 200 Zuz anymore. He said, I don't need the 200 Zuz anymore. He said, I don't need the 200 Zuz anymore. So, that's gone, it's gone. But the Gemara distinguishes between Dinei Mamonis and Gerushin. Because Gerushin, the Gemara says, L'tzeura kamachab. And the reason he demanded the 200 Zuz is because he wants to cause her pain. There's a bitter divorce. He's unhappy with his wife, they're getting divorced. Maybe he wants out, maybe she wants out. There's definitely acrimony between the spouses. And he stipulates giving money in order to cause her pain. So afterwards, there's mochel, right? Based on what you said before, that when you say almanas, is like saying ma'achshav dami, the mais and the das were hukva, they were established right when I did the gerushin. And that das, his das, was to cause sar to her, to cause pain to her. It's not just dollars and cents consideration. He wants to cause her pain. So if later on he says a mochel, you can't change your das that happened a year ago. A year later he says mochel the 200 zuz. Doesn't make a difference. The das was only megarisher to cause her tsar. He wants that. You can't retroactively remove your das. The das is intertwined with the maisa. So you can't do that. When it comes to business decisions, the Gemara clearly differentiates. When it comes to money, so the person, his das, there's no real das by money, right? Money is just, right? Money is you make a transaction and you want to benefit financially. If you don't need the money, so a person's willing to forego the money. Mechila by money, if people want money because they want money, but if they don't need the money, they don't need the money. It was only because they want harvacha, the Gemara calls it. They wanted to have more money. If he didn't need the money, he didn't need the money. But when the das of Gerushin is locked into the tsar, he wants him to tsar her. So because when you say almanas, it's like saying ma'achshav dami. The das and the mais are locked in right now, so he can't be mochel later on. The halacha is, Rabbi Yochanan says, einam goreshes. He can't be mochel, even according to Shimon Gamliel, that if he demands a cloak and she loses the cloak and he gives her money, she gives him money instead, that would suffice. It would not suffice to be mochel because the tsar aspect, she's not getting the tsar, and that was already locked in at Shas the Maisa of Gerushin, where the das and the Maisa are intertwined. And I believe that a corollary of this, that if the Tanai was, he said im, not almanas, and not ma'achshav, he said im, and then he was mochel, in that case it would work, because the das is only when he gets the money, if he says he's mochel. The das was not locked in at the Maisa, and therefore the halacha should be different. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.